As part of my Cognate project, I built a kinetic sculpture. A video documented the process as best I could in an attempt to demonstrate tinkering in action and how tinkering can be used as an educational tool. Tinkering, the act of figuring out how things work and how to make things work. The base components of tinkering are taking things apart, exploring how things work, figuring out how different things work together, experimenting with different components, making, building, and creating things. Tinkering is a means to actively engage learning. From pre-K to adulthood, tinkering is a highly accessible means of enhancing curricular subjects. For my project, I used found and repurposed materials, so my sculpture was nearly free of cost. Among the many aspects of tinkering, a valuable educational tool is the low barrier of entry. Tinkering has a low barrier of entry because a tinkering project can be done with a wide range of materials, from repurposing found objects like old tarps or plastic shopping bags, to using new or purchased materials. This means that little to no budget is required depending on the tinkering project. Furthermore, tinkering is accessible to everyone, regardless of age and experience. Each person can tinker according to their individual abilities. My sculpture was to be installed at the Commence Sculpture Projects 2013 showcase. As the deadline for the installation approached, I found myself frustrated as parts of my project kept breaking and components just weren't working right. By persevering through my problems and collaborating with others, I was able to see the project through to completion. Learning from failure. The power of taking risks and making mistakes. Frustration. When we fail, we tend to get frustrated first. We need to teach students how to react constructively to something that goes wrong, fails, or breaks. Innovative and creative thinking. Students should acknowledge the problem, analyze what went wrong, come up with strategies on how to do it differently, and share what they did to prevent it from happening again or why it didn't work in the first place. Don't be afraid to mess up. Good judgment comes from experience, and the experience grows from mistakes. Educators must create an idea-friendly environment where students are willing to take risks and to share ideas without the fear of rejection or punishment. It should be seen as a learning opportunity instead of a performance failure. Perseverance. Students need to make sense of the problem and persevere in solving it. Sometimes struggle is a necessary stepping stone in the learning process. Students should not let the problem defeat them, but should look for other sources for ideas and new approaches. In addition to the manipulation and experimentation that I did in the process of creating my sculpture, the final sculpture was mechanically kinetic. The audience could interact with the piece to investigate the workings of the sculpture visually and by the manipulation and controlling of its components. Hands-on manipulation. Tinkering is about working with your hands to build things and experimenting with different manipulations. Hands-on manipulation in conjunction with curricular subject matter is an excellent means of increasing student interest and knowledge retention. A big part of tinkering is manipulating and changing the components of the project. Most tinkering projects have an interactive finished product or can be manipulated and changed time and time again. It is extremely important to accommodate students' needs in a way that puts curricular subject matter into a context that develops the interest necessary for students to actively engage in the subject matter and that promotes deeper understanding of curricular subjects. Tinkering is a way to actively engage learning.